move on to our last speech before tea. We have Tarun, Jain and Ankur Garg, who are going to speak about leveraging technology to enable the youth to be involved in democracy. Put your hands together for Tarun, Jain and Ankur Garg.
Who is it that Jeremy has been talking about since yesterday as the people doing the disappearing act? Let Tarun and I take the blame. We would really like to apologize. We don't intend to disrespect anyone. It's just when you're a two-person team visiting from Bombay to Delhi only for 3 days, you have no option but to actually manage a lot of things together. And when you have reset your career in such a way where you are dependent on others to give you meeting time rather than you commanding your own meeting time. We don't intend to disrespect anyone. In fact, in last 2.5 days, we've been overwhelmed by a lot of experiences and a lot of impact stories that we have been hearing. In fact, just yesterday, we were talking, we were discussing with the work, the work that everyone over here has done over a number of years, the immense talent that is there in the room, we probably don't even qualify to be standing on this stage. Should we go ahead, should we just, like withdraw from our speech, or what do we do? So we kind of thought, okay, we don't really have an impact story to share, but let's still take this opportunity to talk about the work that we have, the journey we have started on, and let's talk about that. We don't really have a lot of impact stories to share, none of the discrimination or disability story, but we still feel the work that we are doing has potential to be able to create a much larger impact overall for the society. The area that we are working on is effective governance and political accountability, something which is relatively new, but is the buzzword these days. And our philosophy of change around effective governance and political accountability really is tackling the root cause issues strategically and not purely on an execution level. We strongly believe that if strategically we are able to nail down a lot of root issues, we probably don't have to work on fixing a lot of outcome of these root cause issues. In fact, if you would think about it, a lot of the NGOs, a lot of the individuals would not really need to stress or grieve or take a lot of things in their hand if our government was really doing their job well. If the problem can really be sorted out at their end, we don't really have to worry about that. How exactly are we doing it? Our ideas for action is twofold. One, leveraging technology, and the second, enabling youth for inclusive democracy. And I'll ask you a quick question just to demonstrate. How many of you over here use mobile phones? Just raise your hand. How many of you use mobile phones? And how many of you use mobile phones to really call up your carpenter or a plumber or a driver or a maid? Just raise your hand. So I can see more than 70% of the hands going up. Think about it. For us, it probably might be the technology of the mobile phone is just a way to make it a lot more easier to communicate with a lot of people. But just try to put yourself in the other's shoes. A carpenter, for him, the technology of the mobile phone really is the bread and butter. He's an individual who probably cannot afford an expensive shop, but for him that mobile phone is really the shop. That's the way that you can reach out to, and that's how technology is really impacting a lot of people here in India. I was just looking at some numbers. There are more than 800 million mobile phone users in India, which is a tele-density of around 74% mobile penetration. In fact, I was hearing a number yesterday, around 90% of the people don't even get to eat food. But think about it, they still have a mobile phone, and that's their way of getting connected to a lot of information outside. The second thing that we think can really create a much bigger impact is the whole youth participation and enabling youth to bring about a lot of meaningful democratic change. And when I say youth, it's not necessarily just people who are young, but also people who are young at heart, not really young by age, but people who are really acceptable to a lot of change, people who are open to a lot of new ideas. Think about it, a young individual who is very well informed has the capability to be able to influence another 3 to 4 members in his family. The youth today feels they are a lot more accountable. They have a lot more expectations from people around them. They're a lot more informed. They're a lot more connected. They're the people who are much more opinionated. You say something wrong to them, or they experience something wrong happening to them, it would just take a minute for them to take it out on mediums like Facebook, Twitter, or the latest $19 billion WhatsApp as well. In fact, in the next general elections, some around 19, the first time young voters are expected to be around 19 million, while only 50% of them are registered voters. But we feel that youth are the ones which can really play a much larger role in the current political scenario. And that's what really pushed me and Tarun to leave our comfortable lives till about 10 years back. I'll quickly introduce Tarun. Tarun was living in States for last 10 years, working as a banker, done very well for himself. And I was part of Microsoft for last 7-8 years, but I quit my job around a year back to take up something called as I4India Foundation. And I would let Tarun introduce what I4India Foundation is and the work that we are trying to do.
So I4India is a political platform where citizens can come and rate the quality of services provided to them. So on a scale of 1 to 5, users can come and rate roughly 24 metrics, which are broadly divided into categories like basic needs, reputation, progress, and governance and administration. So let's say in your area the roads are really pothole-ridden, or electricity is a problem. So you can go on the website and give a low rating to these specific metrics. And they're reflected in the report card of your local politicians like MLAs, MPs, and the CM. And the reason why we're doing it, our objectives are threefold. One is to push for accountability in politics. The other is to drive out rhetoric in politics, in public debate, if there is such thing as public debate. I mean, if you switch on any news channel, all you hear is a bunch of people shouting. It's probably not public debate. And lastly is to get the youth involved, as Ankur mentioned, on a more continuous basis, because democratic involvement cannot be just once in 5 years. It has to be more continuous involvement. Because if, as citizens, we awaken once in 5 years, how can we expect anything else from our politicians? Thank you.
And we're not really the only, I would like to add, we're not really the only ones who are trying to do this. There are a few other very reputed organizations like Association for Democratic Reforms. Probably you might have heard, Know Your Neta kind of stuff to really check on a lot of records of what kind of a candidate is running for the election. Then there are other platforms like Mobile Wani. I was just talking to this gentleman from Mobile Wani, who's doing a lot of great work in Bihar and Jharkhand, where people cannot read and write. They don't really have electricity in their homes. But what they use is they use a mobile phone to get connected to a central server. They just give a missed call, they get a call back, and they get to hear a lot of tips related to farming, which they can ultimately use. And the same way, they also end up consuming a lot of news information. So there are a lot of other organizations who are leveraging technology to do a lot of work in this whole space, and something that over a period of time could really be a big game changer for India.
So thank you, Ankur and Tarun. And I must say that you are very worthy and deserving of the fellowship. That's the reason we chose you. And it's a pleasure and an honor to have you on the stage also. And the message was not only meant for both of you, but I'm happy that you acknowledged that. It was also meant for some other people, and I hope they acknowledge that also. Yeah. But the whole idea is, like I said, the idea of the fellowship is to learn from each other, because there's a lot of leveraging which can happen, because it's not just about doing things on the internet, but also at the grassroots, where people like Tonko could help you, right? So that is the whole idea. So we'll open the floor for questions.
Guys, you're doing a great job. I think it's interesting, everyone is talking about mobilizing the youth. I come from the IT industry, and I've done some cutting-edge work around social media analytics and mobility. Mobility is my subject, actually. So, all analytics are showing that today's youth is not utilizing the power of the Twitter and the Facebook. 90% of the conversations in Facebook are frivolous. This is by analysts, not by me. The other thing is that I don't know if you have ever been to a district magistrate's office. And if you see the number of complaints which are lying there, I mean, I think, there's a seed of an idea, but I'm not too sure, have you really thought about how you're going to make the report card really make people accountable? Okay, so, and also you should know there's a site called scope.gov.in, where you can actually, government allows you, and there are senior people managing that site where citizens can write in. I've written that scores of time. The only replies I've got is like, thank you, we have received your mail. So I'm kind of, while I see the seed of the idea, I see that what you're trying to do, I'm not really, as of now, very convinced that just the mobile, being in the hands of people is going to suddenly turn into a huge element, because I'm not sure how you're going to do that. So can you just address that?
So, Somenji, very fair and valid point, and we have actually heard it quite a few times, and something that, over the course of journey, we have had multiple discussions. The key or a simple answer to that is really the scale of citizen engagement that happens. I'll tell you how. There are general elections approaching. If not this time, but at least over a period of few years, if we are able to get to a stage where people start to vote after having looked at the report card of an MLA about the work that he has done, how are the various metrics on a scale of 1 to 5 looking like for him, whether it's a red, green, or yellow? Suddenly, there is a lot of commotion which is going to get created. Suddenly, an individual or a candidate who's running for election knows there's someone or there's this voter base who is really looking at the kind of work that I am doing. At the same time, as soon as the media starts taking note of it, they start reporting these kind of report cards a lot on the mainstream media rather than just on the internet. You can notice a lot of change happening. In fact, the reason we were stepping in and stepping out, because we had few of such conversations lined up where we know that there are few politicians who are kind of positive, young, wanting to actually make some change in their constituencies, to sensitize them about the kind of report cards that they, the kind of report cards they currently have. What is it that the people are saying about their performance? And luckily, because it's the election time, they're actually taking it very seriously as well and opening up with us as a dialogue. We don't see it as a short-term change. It's a much longer change.
Yes.
If you think about the candidate affidavits, it started way back in 2002, 2004, almost 10 years, when people had to declare their criminal records, their financial assets. But over a period of 10 years, this is something which, this information is something that people do refer to now. Oh, this guy has actually been able to go from 10 crores to 130 crores in the last 5 years. There is something going wrong. So that's what really our vision is.
Hi, Tarun and Ankur. It's nice that, your concept that, media exposing, basically. But before that, I would suggest one thing. As a citizen, before I go to the media, I should try something on my own. Okay. If you see Vashi Sector 26, like 1.5 years, 3 years back we went there, and 1.5 years back the roads have been laid. After that, the maintenance, sanitation, whatever, fumigation, including the encroachment clearance. Like I'd been following up with many municipal authorities, and without any friction, the things were done. People there believe that anybody would attack me and kill me at any point of time, because the encroachments were cleared, which were being supported by the politicians. So the thing is that what I'm trying to say is, things are possible if we follow up and pursue the matter with the right people.
Totally agree. In fact, what our conversations so far have been, and nothing against the folks in media, but media really looks for a lot of gossips and sensitive and such kind of stories, and if they don't find it, they're not interested. But to your point, our whole vision or our whole philosophy is actually around participative democracy.
Yes.
We don't want people to just vote every 5 years and forget their responsibility, hoping someone else will do their job. In fact, this is a platform that we envision that would create that opportunity for people to continuously engage.
Yeah.
What we want to do is not just come and rate the satisfaction of services, but also create a lot of local chapters, enable collaboration between the people of the same constituencies in the areas offline and an online basis, so that they can come together as a group and be taken a lot more seriously with the representatives, the government representatives, as well as the politicians in those areas. Yeah. But these are the things which take time. It requires a lot of scalability. You need those many people.
But Tarun and Ankur, also go on to their website, iforindia.
Yes, the website is called as iforindia.org.
They are doing good work, support them.
iforindia.org.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our volunteer Hunar Brar will give away the certificates to Tarun and Ankur. Thank you so much, Tarun and Ankur. Brilliant work.